Ellen Olsen is a sign language interpreter in Minnesota. She stretched her advocacy and organizing skills to not only help young adults who are deaf, but also to speak up about issues that impact students and educators. The NEA National Leadership Summit has helped her to assess the skills that she has and set goals for the ones she'd like to build. The result has been a fulfilling journey that has strengthened support, training, and advocacy for her fellow education support professionals. She's also been able to join forces with other local teacher and ESP units to form a powerful alliance during a difficult bargaining cycle. Throughout her journey, Ellen has learned that it is important to take time for yourself, reflect on what it is you want to do, and stand up for what you believe in. Welcome, National Council for Education Support Professionals President Ray Nwasu and Public Service Member Sam Harrington.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ray Nwasu, the proud president of the National Council of Education Support Professionals.
And I'm Sam Harrington, a public service employee from the state of Montana. Welcome to the closing session of the 2022 National Leadership Summit. A special hello to our members who are logged in and watching via the virtual hub. What a weekend it's been, you guys. Have you all had a great time? I know I have, right? Here's what I know for sure. No matter your membership category, your title, your role, your responsibility, leadership development is a journey, not a destination. And together, all of us, leaning into our purpose, we can do amazing things. Things we've yet to even dream of.
Sam, I could not agree with you more. As an ESP, I often speak about the need for inclusion and the importance of collaboration. We need everyone, every single person who cares about students and public education to accomplish our vision. In fact, this is a core theme of the message you will hear from today's speakers.
In a few minutes, you'll hear from NEA Secretary-Treasurer Noel Candelaria. Yeah. And Dr. Tim Shriver, Chairman of the Special Olympics. Woo. As an educator and a social and emotional learning practitioner, Dr. Shriver gets it. He understands the challenges we face as educators and public servants. He knows we're stronger when we're united.
Sam, that makes me think of the theme, uniting for a better future for our students, our educators, and our community. I think that it's our charge, I'll repeat that, I think it's our charge to leave here today ready and up for the challenge. I know you are because we are the NEA. Thank you and enjoy your session.
Please welcome to the stage NEA Secretary-Treasurer Noel Candelaria.
Let's give it up, NEA. Come on, NEA, where are you? Is NEA in the house? All right. Woo. I'm just excited to be here. Becky, when you talk Friday, it's so good to see our members. It feels so good. Thank you all for that amazing and warm welcome. Hola, mis hermanos y hermanas y parientes de género neutro. Es tan bueno estar aquí con ustedes. It's so good to see you all here this Sunday morning in Las Vegas. I'm excited to be here. I want to take a moment to acknowledge our wonderful president, Becky Pringle. Didn't she just light it up on Friday? And how about our fabulous and amazing Vice President Princess Moss. Yeah. Let's give it up for the Summit Design team. Come on, let's give it up. Let's give it up. I also want to thank the Center for Governance Leadership Development. That team and their vision to put these competencies together in this summit has just been tremendous. Let's give it up for the team. Let's go. And how about all our wonderful leaders and staff that had a hand in delivering this incredible and unique opportunity for each and every one of you. Let's give it up for that team. My hope is that over the course of the weekend, you have had an opportunity to deeply think about your leadership. You know, we all know the old expression, right? What happens in Vegas? Let's go. What happens in Vegas? All right, don't get too comfortable with that. I'll tell you why. Because we want the opposite from you from this weekend. You all heard from nuestra hermana Juliana, right? She showed us that not even within all the glitz and glory and what is the fanfare of Las Vegas, not even Las Vegas can contain her greatness. So, what happened here, not last night, but what happened here, what happened in the sessions, what you shared in those sessions, what you shared here, what you learned here, you have to take all of that back. Take that back to your communities, take it back to your locals and your states. When you have a people together who believe in something strongly, things happen, right? Things happen. Mexican-American labor leader Cesar Chavez was absolutely right when he talked about the power of community. But what most people don't know about Cesar Chavez and his story is that for the work that he did over 20 years as an organizer, during that time, he didn't have a single major victory. Think about that. 20 years organizing before he had his first major victory. How long are we willing to work to accomplish our collective vision? Sí se puede, right? Yes, we can. That was Cesar's clarion call, right? That we all know he learned from Dolores Huerta. Gotta give credit, gotta give credit. But he refused to give up. He refused to accept injustice. He refused to accept anything less than the fair and equitable treatment of farm workers in this nation. He knew that by uniting people and building community, anything could be accomplished. So, what did he do? He kept pushing. He kept believing, he kept fasting, and kept marching. But most importantly, he kept organizing, knowing that one day, things would happen. And guess what? Things did happen. But even when change finally arrived through fair wages and humane working conditions, Cesar Chavez still wasn't satisfied. He kept mobilizing, agitating, uniting, organizing, and pushing workers to make sure that they had the compensation that they deserved, the pension plans, the safety for pesticides, and a more perfect union for farm workers. This is also the story of educators. We stand on the shoulders of a public education movement led by generations of community organizers who also believed in something very strongly. They stood up, they spoke out, and refused to give up and accept anything less than opportunity, justice, and access to a great public school for all students. See, as leaders of the largest labor union in this nation, we are here this weekend to carry that vision and legacy forward. Like nuestro hermano Cesar Chavez, we have to believe that one day, things will happen. But they won't happen by chance, but by commitment and hard work to make it happen. See, without question, this pandemic has rocked the foundation of not just our personal lives, but our professional lives. We saw the impact that it had on the lives of our students, their families, and community at large. We can't escape the pain that we've experienced, nor the burden that we have all carried these last 2 years, and for some, continue to carry today. As we end this weekend, we must continue to move forward. There is so much depending on us. We must be more determined, more fearless, and more devoted to our vision of a great public school for this nation, for every single one of our students. You know, we heard from Becky on Friday, where she beautifully talked about the Japanese art of kintsugi, that sometimes pottery is broken and damaged, but when it is brought back together, it becomes stronger and more valuable, having gone through that struggle. And yesterday, Princess, my sister Princess, who took over the stage and radiated with a pure love that we can only get from our Vice President, Princess Moss. She encouraged us, yes, give it up. You know, she encouraged us to use our experience to reignite us, to sustain us, and move us towards a better future for our students, our educators, our colleagues, and our communities. But most importantly, she said, we must do it all with authentic love for each other and our students. Thank you, Princess. Now, we all know this pandemic has impacted each and every one of us so differently. Some, it impacted us directly. It impacted our family and our friends and our own students. But you know, we weren't an exception. As parents, educators, and union leaders, my wife Patty and I, we had a front row seat, and at times felt like we were center stage as we struggled, as we witnessed the own struggle of our own children through this pandemic. Now, we all know it's been difficult enough to raise teenagers. I'm finding out. I love them, but whew. But this pandemic just added a whole new layer. See, but no matter how bad we thought we had it at times, we were constantly inspired by the courageous work of our colleagues, not only in our community, but in the communities across this nation and around the globe. See, you are NEA members everywhere across this nation and across the globe stepped up in so many ways. I was inspired by so many stories of our members and their schools doing whatever it took to keep their students connected and, yes, fed. Well, last year, y'all may recall that we experienced a devastating storm in Texas. And our schools became havens as they opened up to keep our families safe and warm. See, whether it's a public health storm like COVID or a storm sent by Mother Nature, educators in public schools are the glue that bind our communities together through our children. See, the one thing that this pandemic has taught us, which has been reinforced this weekend, is that community, it matters, right? Community matters. Community keeps us strong as individuals, and it reminds us that we are all part of something greater than ourselves. This is especially true in our school communities. You see, I am the beneficiary, an example of what happens when a community takes care of a student and ensures their success beyond the classroom. As a child, I attended LeBaron Park Elementary School in the Sled Independent School District in El Paso, Texas. And although we didn't call it community schools back then, that's what my school was. It was a community school. As a student, I remember sitting in the teacher's lounge on many evenings as I was doing my homework while my parents sat in English class and their GED classes. And then I remember during his break, the custodian, Don Ramon, would come on over and sit with me to help me to do my math homework. That's what he would do during his dinner break, was come and sit with me because he understood how important it was. I'm sure he loved it because I could always see that smile in his face when he walked in the room. You see, the school also provided my family with access to nurses. We had healthcare fairs. We had dentists. We had health screenings, social workers, and more, all within part of our school. Does that sound familiar? That wasn't that long ago. See, our elementary school was seen and considered as a part of the central hub of that community. It supported every student and their families and leveraged the resources of our community, not just for us as students, but for the parents of the students. Our schools lifted up students and families. It connected us and contributed to our collective success. And this is why community schools and the power of our unity is so critical at this moment in our nation's history. Yes, this is a moment of great challenge, a moment that is going to test our will and our resolve. But leadership requires that we must find the inspiration to reclaim and reimagine everything that we do, including how each and every one of us is going to lead. How we use the leadership development competencies is going to be important at this moment. How we care for ourselves so that we have the strength, imagination, and optimism to achieve our collective vision. How we organize and mobilize the collective power of 3 million members. How we collaborate with each other. We must find the inspiration to reclaim and reimagine how to unite our parents, elected leaders, businesses, and the community at large. We must think about how we defend against the attacks on not just our careers and our professions, but how we recruit and retain educators, especially educators of color in this moment in our profession. See, how we fight for the collective bargaining in our locals, voting rights, racial, social, and education justice for all students, no matter who they are, what they look like, or where they come from. See, before you jump back on your planes to get home, and get back to your locals and your communities, let's ask ourselves, what am I willing to do differently to take my leadership to the next level? What am I willing to do differently? How do I move and expand my focus to include my colleagues and everyone who stands with us in this moment, and everyone that we need to bring in to this moment? This pandemic has taught all of us many lessons, but surely one of them is that building community and transformation takes time. But like Cesar Chavez, we will learn, train, strategize, mobilize, and build our capacity and continue to work towards our vision, whether it takes us 2 years or 20 years. I know that 20 years seems like a long, far time away, especially for a lot of our students who are feeling hurt right now. But Cesar Chavez's greatest gift was patience and the belief that all of us, as Dr. King said, are tied in a single garment of destiny. See, it is the idea that every single student can get what they need to thrive, then every single student can succeed. We can accomplish this collectively, together within our community, and collectively together as the largest labor union in this country. See, 50 years from now, when educators are reading and learning about us in this moment, I want them to know that we never lost our hope despite all of the challenges. I want them to know that we never stopped believing, that we never stopped organizing, fighting, and pushing for what was right. I want them to know that in the face of our most difficult moments, we did not forfeit our unity. We built a strong community of educators guided by an enormous faith that things would happen. Not by chance, because we, the NEA, made it happen. See, my friends, we should draw from the inspiration, from the history of this great union. We have been tested before, and even pushed to the brink of hopelessness at times. But we are the NEA, right? And when the NEA says something's going to happen, we will make it happen. We are going to emerge from this moment stronger, more determined, and better equipped to unite our members and the nation to fulfill and prepare every single student to succeed in a diverse and interdependent world. NEA, are we going to get it done? Are we going to get it done? Then say it with me. Sí se puede. 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 Let's get it done, NEA. Thank you. Let's get it done. So we have an amazing keynote speaker today who understands the power of unity and bringing people together to address some of the world's greatest challenges. Dr. Timothy Shriver is a social leader. He's an educator, activist, film producer, and business entrepreneur, and his work has been both community and school-based. Perfect for us as the NEA. In addition to Dr. Shriver's long-standing work with Special Olympics, he is also the co-founder of CASTLE, which is a collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning. CASTLE focuses on the academic, social, and emotional learning of students and is directly linked to our strategic priorities to scale the community schools model. Most recently, NEA has established a partnership with CASEL focused on the leadership competency framework to include a 7th domain around social and emotional intelligence. Dr. Shriver is known as a revolutionary and compassionate leader and believes that anything can be accomplished if we choose to do it together. NEA, let's give a big warm welcome to Dr. Timothy Shriver. Bring it on. Let's go.
All right. Wow. Gee. Thank you. Oh my God. Noel, what did you take this morning? I mean, it's Sunday morning in Vegas. You all aren't even supposed to be awake, and this man is rising up. I mean, the energy, the si se puede, wow. Please share that coffee. Please share it. And I mean, I look out at this room, I see all of you, I think, who are you Sunday morning in Vegas? I know, okay, NEA, there you go. I know there was at least one person in this room who did not go to sleep and just came straight. Come on, raise your hand if you're here. There's got to be one young teacher here who decided Saturday night was too good to miss, right? I hope so, anyway. But anyway, thank you all for coming this morning. Thank you all for being NEA. Thank you all for embodying the Si Se Puede energy, Noel, that you're bringing to the table. Thank you for being teachers. I'm going to just take a few minutes of your time this morning, and I hope really just remind you of what you already know. I hope when you think of this word resilience, you can look it up online, you can find different definitions in curricula and in teacher training even. I hope it just reminds you of who you are. I hope it just reminds you that we're not going back as teachers. We're not going back to being second-class citizens. We're not going back to being pushed around by political debates. We're not going back to being treated as though the whole world understands children and we're the only ones who actually are there on the front lines every day. Those days are done. I think of this room as being a room full of the first responders for America the possible. Not the America of the past. I dare say not America of the present. But I do believe America the possible. And this room, on a Sunday morning, there's a lot, by the way, I don't know this as a fact, but I'm guessing there's a lot of conferences that don't schedule on Sunday morning. But not this one. You all are used to being able to answer the call. And I'm honored to be able to share with you a few thoughts today about the resilience which you already have. Definitions of resilience, you probably have them in your mind. Someone with the skills, capable of understanding and recognizing their own emotions and recognizing that their emotions are okay. Someone with the belief in the dignity, no matter how bad things are, the dignity of all people. Someone maybe who has the courage to act even in the face of pain. Maybe it all is summarized simply by what the great spiritual master Richard Rohr says is someone who understands the difference when they have pain between transforming it and transmitting it. This is a room of people who see pain. This is what you're trained to do. This is why you went into the profession. When you see pain, you help transform it, not transmit it. And in this moment, where's the profession better suited to take the pain in our country and the pain in our children and the pain even in ourselves, and rather than transmit it and make it worse, transform it and create America the possible? I hope that's what you recognize as being your gift in this moment in history. Now, a long time ago, I realized that when you get to big topics like this, kids, young people, I shouldn't say kids, young people tend to understand them better than adults. So let me share with you one of my favorite young voices. Okay, I'm done, right? I'm done. I mean, come on. Just a spectacular talent, at least for me, bursting on the scene just in the last year and a half. But I offer you these words from Amanda Gorman, our poet laureate, our first ever youth Poet Laureate. And I wish I had her voice to play for you so you won't have to listen to mine on this, but I invite you now as we gather, as we do our little bit of an anticipatory set, for those of you trained in the old Madeline Hunter models. Okay, there's still a few of us left, right? You young people don't know what we're talking about, but anyway, that's another presentation. But maybe just read these words yourself. I'm going to give you a moment and just read them and notice which words your heart rests on. Ms. Gorman's poem for this year, this was her New Year's, New Days lyric. I hope you just, if your heart rested on mourning, it's okay. If it rested on withered or torn, that's okay too. If you've got more of the mend or the tend in you, that's okay. Others need it. If you've got the battered in you, there are others here for you. I hope Amanda's words remind us, at least initially, of one big lesson. How you feel is okay. Don't let anybody judge you for how you feel. Remind your children, remind your colleagues, remind your own family that, as my friend Mark Brackett says, you have permission to feel in this place. It's not always quite so easy, right? Because we're living in a time where there's a lot of people who judge. Let me just tell you a quick story. I wrote this book a few years ago about my experiences in the Special Olympics movement. I was going to a book party at a hotel, and I was in the elevator to go upstairs, and there was a guy in the elevator with a cowboy hat, and anybody with a cowboy hat here, I don't want to offend anybody, blue jeans, cowboy boots, and I was just going up one floor, and he looks over at me and he says, "Does anyone ever tell you you look like a Kennedy?" And I was kind of focused on my presentation on my book, and the door opened. I said, "Yeah, I've heard that before." And he said, "Well, that must really piss you off, eh?" Now, I'm not going to try to draw a big, profound lesson from a little encounter, but just notice for a minute how quick we are, how quick he was to look at a skin tone, a haircut, whatever, reach a conclusion, not just about me, but about people who may be like me, make a judgment about it, and in a way suggest the potential for shame, like that. My brothers and sisters, we're living in a country addicted to that kind of behavior. Our children are growing up in an era, we talk about traumatic eras. The trauma of this era is the trauma, in my view, at least in part, of a country committed to stinking, blaming, shaming, ancient scapegoating, and just plain hating. And we're all trapped in it. We're stuck. We don't think the country's headed in the right direction. We don't like each other. We're afraid of each other. We're more lonely than we've ever been. And we're splitting ourselves apart simply, or more often than not, simply on the basis of judging each other without actually knowing. So think about this, though, not as an accident, but as an actually deliberate, caused outcome. The media and the politics are no longer neutral players in our lives. We think we're watching the news. You're watching a curated version of hatred and fear, no matter which network you watch. Why? Because systematically prying families apart works. Now, you may be thinking, but wait a minute. When I watch the news, I'm watching the truth. And And what I'm being told is the actual real version, right? And what you're being told, I would guess, is almost certain to be a version of reality that leads you to think you need to hate other Americans. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just asking you to be aware that someone is benefiting when you do. And it's not you. And it's not your school, and it's not your family, it's not your community, and it is not your children, your students. Okay? Because every time you say, we all say this, by the way, guilty as charged. I don't know if anybody in this room is going to say I'm innocent of this, but I would just say I'm guilty. So if this was an AA meeting, I would start by saying, hey, I'm Tim, and I've been a divider. And I hope those of you who know recovery would say, hi, Tim. Because I would guess, I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. If it was a smaller room, I might. I would ask anybody who says they have never said one of these things to stand up. Those people, you know who they voted for, Noel? They're the problem. I mean, let's be honest. You know, they're ruining everything. I mean, we'd be fine without them, right? Let's be honest. Come on now. It's their fault. Anybody hadn't said any of these things? I don't think so. Here's what happens to our kids. Forget your politics for a moment. Suspend disbelief. Stay with me. It's making our kids sick to death. Okay, because kids do not thrive in environments of hatred and contempt and division. They do not thrive in do we have to repeat this to our country? Why is it so hard for the country to understand? This is our voice. Hey, gang, this makes children sick. The way you're talking is damaging my kids. And your outrage and your contempt and your hatred, keep it to yourself. This is none of your business. Leave our children alone. And when we go and we hear the stories over and over again of the sadness, of the despair, of the cutting, of all the psychological challenge and the trauma and the visits to the ER, when are we going to say enough is enough? When are we going to stand up as educators and say, this contempt is driving our country and our children, in effect, to their graves? So, now, you could say that's all bad news, but here's another beautiful human being. And I was lucky enough to be in a moment where he was giving a talk, and someone asked him a question at the end of his talk. He said, Archbishop, isn't it clear? Isn't it clear? Come on, let's be honest. Isn't it true that evil's more powerful than good? And I won't try to replicate his beautiful, lilting, laughter-based accent, but he replied, no, evil is not more powerful than good, but it is better organized. Okay, people, Noel already said it. Let's get organized. Let's get organized. Let's get organized. Now, here's my point. This room is full of the people who know how to organize to build positive, supportive relationships. You say, well, wait a minute, that's not my job description. I'm a math teacher, I'm social studies, I do transportation, I do buses, I do special ed, I do sports. Well, this is what Jim Comer taught me almost 40 years ago. He said, when I was a young teacher, and I had the chance to study with him at the Yale Child Study Center, he said, Tim, your job as an educator is to learn one thing, to learn and understand the difference between these two shapes in the eyes of a 5 or a 6-year-old. I said, well, that's easy. I've studied everybody. I got it, Vygotsky. I got my theories, you know, my little notepad, and I'm taking out my yellow pad, and I'm writing everything down. I'm like, I got the answer. So I had 14 answers. None of them were right. He said, the only difference between shape 1 and shape 2 in the eyes of a 5-year-old is that there's a significant adult who wants the child to learn the meaning of shape 1. That's it. That's it. Nothing else is different about him. But there's an adult who looks into the child and says, I want you, Noel, I want you to know what that one means. And so what happens? Noel wants to know what it means. The pipeline through which learning travels is the power of relationship. That's our job, to build relationships. Jim Comer said teaching and learning is a relationship. And we need to get good at organizing for the power of positive relationships rather than the destruction of hatred and negative ones. So I'm running out of time. I'm so far behind. It's ridiculous. So let me rush. So I'm going to go through a lot of stuff fast, but you'll know it's here if you want it. Social and emotional learning, what Noel mentioned briefly here. Many of you may have seen this a million times, so forgive me. This is what we call the castle wheel. What it is a framework. It's a scope structure. Scope and sequence, people, are you with me? It's the scope structure for a kindergarten through 12th or a pre-K through 12th grade formula for organizing for good relationships. And in the middle, you see components of the development of relationships. In the circles, you see that it can happen in classrooms, in school cultures and climates, in school community and family partnerships. It's a paradigm-shifting way of saying we need to get good at promoting positive, strong relationships for our children. It's not a question of whether or not we do it. It's only a question of whether or not we do it well. Because there is no brain that comes to school. Never has happened and never will. A brain, tell me if anybody here ever got a brain in their classroom without a body, without a heart, without a soul, without feelings. Did they ever come to school? No, they don't come brain only. They learn through your eyes. Okay, they learn through your eyes. So I'm going to give you 3 lessons about organizing for good. Everyone can be practiced today if you're advanced. Lesson 1, 2nd grade lesson. Can you turtle? Today, how many people are traveling? Big stressor, right? When you feel stress, I'm challenging you today to put one hand on one shoulder right in the middle of the TSA line if you want to. And people look over at you and go, what is that person? What is she doing? What is he doing over there? Just put one hand on one shoulder, drop down, take a deep breath. Do some positive self-talk. Remind yourself you can handle stress. Prove to someone, and most importantly to yourself, that you're in charge and capable. The stress goes down. The capacity to respond goes up. The relationship is strengthened. Today you can practice. You can also practice. This is a lot of complicated stuff, so oh no, 3 minutes. You're killing me. Okay. I have so much more stuff to say. Sorry. So I'm going to skip, no, that's nice of you. I'm going to skip some of this stuff. But here's one on the relationship skills specifically. Look at the right column right here. Just try this one today. Number 2, skip everything else. You can look at this later if you want. When you feel like you're across the aisle from somebody who's just one of those people, maybe on the way out here, maybe somebody bugs you, just try presuming positive intent. And when you think to yourself, but they don't have positive intent, try again. And if you let that sink in, I promise you, cross my heart, something will emerge in your consciousness that will connect you to the consciousness of the person you're disagreeing with. I'm not saying you're going to agree with them. I'm just saying you're going to find a connection. Last one, inclusion. This is the work of the Special Olympics. Now it says 7 minutes. Are you guys being generous to me? Okay. You want to see the video. I'm not going to spend time on this. Just suffice to say that we're studying now, through our Special Olympics athletes, the power of what we're calling an inclusive mindset. You heard of growth mindsets? There you go, the inclusion revolution. So you've heard of growth mindsets, you've heard of, personalized learning, you've heard of social, but have you ever heard of an inclusive mindset? The person who opts for welcoming and including even in the face of difference or fear. Right? So these are the components so far. This is all new stuff. I guess I get to show the 3-minute video of a suburban school in Rhode Island where they decided they were going to learn from the master teachers of promoting good relationships. See if you can figure out who the master teacher is in this video.
Penguin? Patriots. Patriots, there we go. Yeah. Jason loves sports. Yeah, Jay loves Patriots. Who you like? Gronk? Say it. Gronk. Gronk. Everyone's curious, like, living with a person with, like, disabilities, like, how daily life is, and it's like, I don't know, just normal.
You're good? All right, have a good day. All right? You'll be a good boy, right?
I am.
I know you are.
It's like a normal brother relationship. We fight a lot, and we also have great moments together. It's great. It's life.
You know, I think that when you talk about Evan and Jay, you talk about, you know, they're really one person here. It's not Evan, it's not Jay, it's Evan and Jay.
Jay's just like a big ball of joy.
A student who typically you wouldn't hear much communication from, but when you do hear it from him, you feel it. He greets you in the morning when you walk in. He wants to get up and make sure everybody's smiling and having a good time. So he may go by you, tap you on the shoulder, he may make a silly face.
Who's on your basketball team?
Evan.
Evan. Who's he again? My brother?
I'm a brother.
My brother.
Evan and Jay are instrumental in our inclusion movement. Evan Hallberg alone is the dream for a teacher.
Programs like TOPS, Special Olympics, and most recently Unified Sports have provided a foundation for individuals of all abilities to express themselves and succeed in society.
You don't really know until you're up there, and that your heart's pounding knowing that you have to like give this 1.5-page long speech in front of everyone.
I know that when I graduate from high school, I will miss the times I've spent with my brother. Even the little things, like car rides at school, with the radio booming and him dancing in the back seat.
I started like sobbing a little bit, and then Jay put his arm around me, and then after that I knew I was kind of like done. But I remember that I'm talking in front of the entire school and I'm on TV, so I had to keep going. Making a contribution to a huge movement is the biggest thing anyone can really do. It feels humbling.
For this is why I choose to include. Thank you.
I'm gonna cry. Through sports like Unified, I can trust everyone to protect my brother because they know that he's no different than anyone else. Brings like no greater joy. Yeah.
Okay. So, who was the teacher before we go on? Jay, yeah. But as much as Jay was the teacher, none of that happens without you. Just saying. I mean, I've seen this my whole life. Jay doesn't have a shot in the world to be seen or heard without you. Education, teachers are the only people who were willing 40 years ago to look at Jay and say, I want that kid in my school. The only ones. Today, Jay's likely to 85% likely to be unemployed. Businesses catching up, but not there. Transportation, housing, all these things hard to get. But schools are largely open, and moments like these, where a young high school student can say, I believe in my school, this place can be safe for my brother. And why can't we build a school where everybody is safe and every person's brother and sister is safe? That's the job. And so let me just close by saying, I know I'm now way over again. I just want you to know, we have the momentum behind us on these points, building these relationships. When we do good social emotional learning, test scores go up. That's number one. This data is 10 years old. We should be broadcasting it across the country. When we ask people about social and emotional learning, people say we have this massive hidden consensus. 99% of principals, 90+% of teachers want more of this. You wouldn't know any of this by watching the news. Why? Because it doesn't sell hatred and contempt. It sells harmony and whole-making that the country wants, but you don't hear it on the news. So let's be its mouthpieces. When we ask people after COVID, what do you want more of? They want more supports for the social and emotional dimensions of learning in their schools. Right now, all this data, look at it, it's all 2021. I'm sorry I don't have time to go through it. I just want you to know we're gonna skip this video. I just want you to know I think this is our moment. I don't say this without thinking through the implications of asking you to take on something new. I don't want you to take on something new. I just want you to know the resilience that is already yours. We, in this moment, educators, have the secret to building the next generation of America the possible. The new resilience is in your hands. You are the key. You have the training, the skills, and the disposition to do this. This is Amanda's invitation to you. Here's my addition to Amanda. Forgive me, Amanda, if you're watching. I hope you're not. But I'm going to say, for educators, may this be the day, yes, now. You've got this. You've got this, right? You've got it. Can we come together? Yes. Not some of us, all of us. Educators are about all of us. Are we mourning and ready to mend? Yes, with self-care, with empathy, with honesty, with turtling. We can do this. Are we withered and ready to weather? Yes, with perseverance and grit and solidarity for the outsider. You've seen this. We can listen, we can learn, we can include, and we can love our children and each other and build America the possible. If you're interested, join us. This is our community, unite.us. Go on the website. Thank you for letting me go over, and congratulations. Thank you all very much. Sorry.
Wow. Wow. You know, I shared with Dr. Shriver earlier that actually Special Olympics is what tugged at me and helped me become a teacher. I actually volunteered going into the 8th grade to be a student mentor coach with my fellow classmates who were training for the Special Olympics the following year. And I was asked if I would volunteer. Myself and a group of others would volunteer, and you know, I said yes. And it changed my life. And that is what planted the seed in me to become a special education teacher. So Special Olympics is near and dear to my heart. Let's give it up again for Dr. Timothy Shriver. Right, NEA, we're getting close to that time, so I want to welcome back to the stage. Welcome back to the stage, my sister and the fierce president of the NEA, Becky Pringle, and our fabulous vice president, Princess Moss. Let's go. Let's give it up, NEA.
Now hold on. Change is coming. Hold on. Don't you worry. Hold on. You can make it. Hold on. Everything will be all right. Some people like to worry.
Oh, NEA, give it up for our fabulous Secretary Treasurer, Noel, Candelaria. And give it up for our amazing Vice President, Princess Moss. Ooh, I don't know about you, but I feel that change coming, right? Right? NEA, we did it! We did it! And we could not possibly have done this without our amazing staff. I need you to get on your feet. Get on your feet. Get on your feet. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up. Yeah. Woo. Oh my goodness. I know they don't want me to call them out because this was a massive team effort by our staff. But I do need you to know the folks who were leading that way. Please give a really big thank you to Miss Sabrina Tynes. Give it up, get Morris, Sabrina, stand up. Yes, yes, yes. She is our Senior Director for Governance. Yes. And I know, guys, I know it was hard, all the rules, all the protocols, Princess. You did that, didn't you, your chair? Did you do that? Why did you do that, Princess?
Because we care about the safety of our members.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
We care about the safety of our members. And not just that, we need to send you back home to your families and your kids.
Yep.
And we needed to keep you safe. And I know it was hard. And I know it felt overwhelming. But we had to do that so that we could bring you back together in person. And we didn't just do that. And Sabrina be the first one to say she did not do this alone. We had our Director for Risk Management, Mr. Jim Testament. Give it up for Jim. He was keeping us safe. And guys, I need to thank you. I know that we made you do a lot of stuff before you came here and stuff when you got here, and you're like, what? I can't find my thing, and I get that. Thank you for your patience and for learning how to do it and going through it. This was a test run for us, and we will be sharing with others, and it'll help us be able to come back together again in person and stay safe, whether or not we have another variant or not. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to learn and live with this reality. Of course, I would be remiss if I did not mention the man who is the lead for all of this work. Mr. Corey Wolford, get up here, get up here, come on, get up here, come on, give it up. Yeah.
Great job. Great job. Got your brother.
Woohoo. So I don't know about you, but my little purple book is full. It is full. So many nuggets and so many gems. And I trust that you will leave here with those too. But before we end our program, I believe we have one final. Did we, Princess?
Yes, we do.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it. All right. Actually, we have 4 final announcements. We have $500 each to be given away. This is so exciting. All right, we're going to do our virtual attendee hub first. For our virtual attendee hub, we have 2 recipients of $500 each.
All right.
The first one is Catherine Alper from the Ohio, OHIO, Education Association, and Rodney Hurd from the Utah Education Association. Woohoo! Go Utah! In person, we have 2 recipients of $500 each. Celeste Jordan from the Maryland State Education Association, go MSEA, and Norma De La Rosa from the Texas State Teachers Association, go TSCA. Winners, all winners will be contacted by a member of the NEA staff. Thank you so very much.
Yay! Winners. Okay, guys, I need you to do something for me. I need you to stand up. I want to send a selfie to our, okay, by I mean Noel. That's why they're laughing at me. This is EC laughing. You're like, Becky, you can't take a selfie. I want to send to our siblings in Minneapolis, a selfie from us to encourage them on their strike. So please, let's give them some love. Noel, just tell us what to do.
All right, if we can dim the lights.
Yeah, dim the
please,
lights.
So that we can get this, capture everyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, come on, cheer, cheer.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get those fists up. Awesome.
All right. Say, stand strong, Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, send them some love. Send them some love. You know, these lights really do blind you, but yeah. You can't see anybody anywhere. But as we close, there are a couple of things I want to share back with you. You know, as I was writing in my book, you know, was Juliana amazing yesterday?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. And when she talked about the fact that we have this opportunity to build this, not only a culture of inclusion, but a culture of belonging, right? That was powerful. Wasn't that powerful? That was powerful. It was absolutely powerful. And when she challenged us to build a world with other worlds, we know that we have that capacity to do that. And we will get that done. Will we get it done? Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. You know, and when Tim Shriver put up the picture of his book, and the title really caught me. Fully alive. Fully alive. That means us attending to our full selves and fighting to ensure that we have the resources and support for our whole students. That's what it means to be fully alive. I really especially appreciate it. And Tim, Juliana said something yesterday, and Tim said something today. You remember when she's told the story of Dr. Biden, and right, and she said to her that she helped her, and she said, Dr. Biden said, you didn't need help. You got this. You got this. And when Tim talked about arriving at that, at the airport and just taking that moment and realizing you're in control, that's what I want you to leave with this weekend. I know that you have done a lot. You have connected with people, you've gone to sessions, you've learned, you've written, you have presented, some of you, thank you very much. You have continued your leadership path this weekend. So I want you to leave here knowing that you got this. You got what you need. You are enough. You are enough. As we continue to recognize the infinite succession of presence toward our grand vision, I want you to realize this weekend, you did justice. This weekend, you did it. When you go back, you will continue to do justice. We collectively will do justice to ensure that the first Black woman ever nominated for the Supreme Court is confirmed. We will do that, NEA. We will do that. We will leave this space and we will tell her story, because her story is our story. I see myself reflected in her story, and I know you do too. Every single time you think about the barriers that have been placed in front of you, her story is our story. Whether you are a product of public education or your parents taught in our public schools, her story is our story. Whether you are a parent of a special needs student or you teach special education, her story is our story. And I need you to tell our story as we leave this place. NEA, we, the largest labor union in this country, will do everything we must to get her over the finish line. Are we going to do that?
Yep.
Yes, we are. We're going to do that. That is one of those infinite successions toward that possible that we talked about as we do justice. As we leave this place, please do not forget that you must start with yourself. You must invest in your well-being as you invest in others. As I listened to you throughout these 3 days, I heard you say things like, oh, Becky, I am leaving with more energy and passion and inspiration, and I can keep doing this. I was going to leave, but now I'm not. Your work together is not done yet. If you heard someone say that to you this weekend, I need you to reach out to them and continue to shore them up, because we cannot do this work alone. As you leave this place, never forget, we are the NEA. We are the NEA. We